My name is Matthew Warner, and this is my new book, Horror Isn't a Four-Letter Word, Essays on Writing and Appreciating the Genre. And I have the privilege of being Raw Dog's first nonfiction author through their imprint Guide Dog Books. The lovely Dina Warner here was hired to do the cover. And this is a beautiful cover. This is all stuff from around our house. This is, hi Ron. This is, of course, Scrabble tiles, and I don't know if you can see the little owl there that Mom gave me. This is a rose from a rural funeral, suitably creepy. And anyway, this is, it starts off, I'm going to show you this nice picture. Isn't this a neat picture? That's a real asylum that's there in my town. I'll show it to the camera.
What town?
Stanton, Virginia. It's in the Virginia Shenandoah Valley. So I could tell you what the book's about, but in the foreword here, I explain what the book's about. I think it does a better job than I could tell you ad-libbing what it's about. So I'm just going to read you the foreword.
Did you say foreword?
The four-word, four-letter word. No. Well, I did say introduction in an earlier draft, and then somebody said, well, how can you write an introduction to your own book? You write an introduction to somebody else's book. If you're going to put something before your book, it's a foreword. And if you say something afterward, forward afterward. Okay, yeah, that's right. So anyway, just a little bit of writer's trivia. So this is foreword. It's called Into the Asylum, because I got the asylum there. The children's asylum, which would be that, stands alone on a gently rising field, visual flypaper for anyone passing by on the interstate, and whose vision can't be snagged by that imposing, beautiful neoclassical building, monolith of a building, certainly not mine. Who can resist its siren call once learning that it's abandoned and possibly haunted? Certainly not me. Named in honor of a prominent advocate of human eugenics, the DeJarnett Center stands on the outskirts of my small town of Virginia's Shenandoah Valley, like some forgotten movie set. Vines climb the walls of its moldering ruins, reaching toward boarded-up gabled windows. Now that the statute of limitations is passed on trespassing, I'm free to tell you that this is the creepiest place I've ever been inside of. Right after climbing in through an open window, I was ankle deep in an ancient effluvium of children's school papers. Now, my cohorts and I, we dutifully snapped pictures before moving on to the main hallway. Each room revealed new wonders: smashed up sinks, old phone directories, containers labeled with biohazard stickers, a smashed one-way observation window. On the upper floors, we found evidence of trespassers who didn't subscribe to our touch-nothing credo: shell casings, graffitis, holes in walls. We also saw things I considered quite beautiful. A mural of Max and his friends from Maurice Sendak's Where the Wild Things Are, and a half-crescent window in the attic that reminded me strongly of a setting in the movie The Crow. And you can actually see it in this picture. You see that? The thing's really creepy from the inside. Oh, and dead birds. But above all, there was that sense of danger, and of ghosts, and of whispers of insanity. Forgotten whispers of insanity. Of horror. Then there was a time my wife Dina and I and some friends ventured into the black throat of an abandoned train tunnel in Afton, Virginia. Older than the DeJarnett Center and built by Claudius Crozet, this place also felt thick with ghosts. But unlike DeJarnett, it actually had a chance of containing them. Many slaves purportedly died while digging it. The tunnel is nearly a mile long, and it's blocked at intervals by concrete walls intended at one time to contain a reservoir of natural gas. Bricks line its walls, snakes slither at its entrances, and a layer of mist hovers at eye level. Accessed from the heart of an overgrown forest, it echoes with splatters of dripping water. A quarter mile into the tunnel's darkness, visible behind us, the entrance, visible behind us, is a shining crescent begin to disappear behind the steam. What if we heard a horse walking clippy-clop toward us from the inside the mountain? Someone asked as we were on our way back out. And when it got here, the rider was a Civil War ghost. Oh yeah? I said. Well, what about something more mundane? That concrete wall behind us means that we have to go out the way we came in. What if we saw a group of people coming inside and they were carrying axes to kill us? And at that moment, we saw two people silhouetted at the tunnel mouth ahead of us, and they were coming in. You can come in. Hi.
Okay.
So, hey. Oh my God, hide! And the two people, apparently hearing our distorted voices from far inside the tunnel, reversed direction and walked away. We all hurried away. Then we all fell down laughing. That is, until someone threw an empty soda can against the wall, and in a darkness so thick we couldn't even see each other, the clatter made us scream, until we started laughing again. Now, to me, horror has always been synonymous with these types of experiences. Horror isn't just a genre of stories, but an outlook on life. And it's one that's focused on finding the fun in morbidity. Now, if that sounds crazy, I entirely sympathize. To study the horror genre is a bit like exploring an abandoned asylum. At any turn, you never know what awaits you. Insanity, death, or the thrill of your life. And as you reach the upper levels and see rusted bed frames and empty bed elevator shafts, you realize that peering into the shadows isn't just about evoking the emotion of horror. It's also about learning of the things that scare us. After all, the monster who's known has less power than the one who's not. And ultimately, of course, horror is about developing a cheerful acceptance of the fate that awaits us all. Hopefully, as you read further, you'll understand where I'm coming from. Now, there's an old saying about the writing craft. The only thing more fun than doing the work is talking about it. Little wonder then that a few years ago I started giving lectures at schools and libraries about horror literature and writing. It was also a self-promotional motive. It's always a good idea to cultivate your own readership. Soon afterward, in 2004, the publisher of the Horror World website, which is horrorworld.org, Nancy Kalana, challenged me to write a monthly column on the topic. Most of what you'll read in this book is the result of that ill-conceived venture, a column called Author's Notes. Ill-conceived because I overestimated my ability to churn out a column every month while also writing novels and holding down a full-time job as a paralegal at a law firm. When the column went to a quarterly schedule in 2006, I was much happier, and Horror World was all the richer because it could then rotate in other writers, such as Will Ludwigson and Lucy Snyder. But this isn't a book entirely about author's notes or even about the other articles I've included. As a whole, this collection is about my relationship with a much maligned, but at times deeply powerful genre of stories. It's also about how horror has influenced everything from holidays to politics, and it's about some of the real-life horrors faced by us all. There's also several articles about writer-specific horrors, such as book doctors, public speaking, and bad dialogue technique, which I hope you'll enjoy even if you're not in the industry. You'll notice, however, that the later articles steer away from technical lectures about the writing craft. That's because I realized I was falling into that trap of the old joke mentioned above, the one about talking about writing instead of actually doing it. Or to borrow another proverb, writers should feed people fish and not spend much time teaching them how to fish. Speaking of which, it's time for me to unveil the serving platter. And then it starts in the first columns.